Welcome to the Brian Estes podcast. 8th grade ball. Let's go.
Yeah, like that's like Haryana Buddhism, which is like all based on compassion, you know. And like one practice, like the Dalai Lama has spread it quite a bit, is to try to look at every single sentient being, so that's every single man, woman, child, and animal on the planet, as if at one point they could have been your mother. I used to do that meditation a lot. Of course, I forget it at times because of my own ego, but you try to have that same sense of love and care for them as if they nurtured you from birth. So if you can look at everyone like that, then you're going to have a real sense of love and compassion for everyone, you know?
Yeah. So when you were talking about the different kinds of Buddhas, which is really interesting, like the Thai Buddhas look different than the Chinese Buddhas, look different from the Zen Buddhas, look different from everything. Yeah. The different idols and depictions of them kind of vague or are divergent in the culture, because as opposed to Western religions, which dominate a culture, like Buddhism seems to infect a culture. Like it takes what the culture is already doing and then just spreads from within it. It's not a dominant thing. It's like it's a blossoming thing within it. So you have all these really interesting, you know, like Tibetan Buddhism looks nothing like Zen Buddhism.
Definitely.
Except for some of the core principles, but I mean, otherwise it's like Tibetan Buddhism.
It's completely different.
It's completely different, yeah. So as an American Buddhist, what do you see as like the reflection of like Buddhism and as it's infecting our culture? What does that look like?
That's not a topic for me to discuss. I mean, I can only speak on how it's affected me, because each person is different. So,
yeah.
And I mean, here in the West, we're like a big, huge, horrible analogy, but the melting pot. So it's like all of these different branches of Buddhism have spread throughout the United States, and they just manifest as they are.
Yeah.
So,
well, and Buddhism kind of manifested here first with the hippies, right? I mean...
Yeah, beatnik culture, hippies.
Yeah.
You know, 50s and 60s, and that's when a lot of, like, Tibetan lamas were coming over. You had some Zen Roshis coming over. You had,
Suzuki, his books are great.
Yeah. I like him quite a bit.
Alan Watts, you fan of his shit?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Alan Watts was great. I don't typically like British dudes either. Like I just listen to their goofy accent, and I'm like, get this nonsense out of here. But that guy, man, he had a great sense of humor, and he was the perfect bridge to bring a lot of these like esoteric Oriental teachings to like to Americans and Westerners that they're like, I get it. Like I get it. You know what I'm saying? He was doing some of the original translating.
Yeah. Which
is amazing to think that it's only been maybe 50 or 60 years that these, you know, the Tao Te Ching and all these other amazing Buddhist scriptures were even translated into English, you know? Yeah. And there's certain, what I've studied about it too, there's certain syntax problems with translating a lot of this shit, because Oriental characters, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, they have their actual like pictures of shit. You know what I'm saying? So like the word tree looks like a tree, and so the word for melancholy looks like a tree on a mountain with mist. So truly what you're reading is tree on a mountain with mist, but that means melancholy. You know what I'm saying?
So so it becomes difficult to translate.
Yeah, it becomes really difficult to translate because you're dealing with like multiple levels, and when you have multiple levels of language, you have multiple levels of mastery of language. So true poets, when the translation comes in, because I'm fascinated with like Japanese death poetry, which is like these two sentences where some Zen dude in a fucking monastery will be like, the pinnacle of his life, everything. He's got to give the transmission, and he's like, the goose flew over the wintry wind. The end.
The end. Yeah.
That's it. That's all they give you. You know, and you're like, wow, what the fuck is that? What does that mean? And maybe we can't even touch what that means because